Hello and welcome to Top10List.org, where you get a world of knowledge in 10 simple points. On today's episode, we're going to go ahead and discuss the top 10 most controversial album covers. Let's start at number 10 with The Beatles from Yesterday and Today. This album was released in 1966, and the album cover is also known as Butcher Baby. It shows the band sitting in white coats and holding up cut-up limbs and heads of newborn babies. They've obviously been taken from dolls, but the cover was instantly replaced. Number 9 is David Bowie's Diamond Dogs, released in 1974, and the cover showed David Bowie lying on his stomach. However, the lower part of his body was replaced with that of a dog's, making him look rather odd as a half-dog and half-man kind of hybrid. The cover was replaced with another image in which the genitals had been airbrushed. Number 8 is The Scorpions' Virgin Killer album, released in 1976. This album's original cover showed a 10-year-old girl sitting naked with her chest sticking out. I'm surprised this was even released. Her genitals have been covered with a shattered glass pattern. The band defended it and said that it was a symbolic representation of the title of the album. At number 7 is Blind Faith. This album, released by a band of the same name, had a cover which showed a young 11-year-old girl standing topless and holding an aircraft against her chest. It was meant to be a phallic symbol and naturally created a lot of ripples through the industry in the country. Number 6 was Alice Cooper's Love It to Death, released in 1971. The original album cover showed Alice Cooper or Vincent Furnier standing with a few other people. He is wearing a cape and has poked his thumb through it in such a way that looks quite vulgar. It was later blurred out. Number 5 was Hollywood and the Shadow of the Valley of Death by Marilyn Manson. This was released in 2000 and shows the singer against a black background. His arms are stretched upward and it looks as if he is being crucified. The disturbing part is that his jaw is missing, and when he was asked about that, he replied saying it was a symbol of censorship. The image is very violent and was later removed completely from the album cover. Number 4 is Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses, released in 1987. The name was taken from a painting by Robert Williams. The cover showed a very graphic rape scene, which is why retailers across the country refused to stock the album. The cover was then replaced by a common image of skulls. Number 3 is Amorica, released in 1994 by the Black Crowes. It showed a woman wearing underwear, which had the American flag printed on it. This was a very, very, very zoomed in image. A few strands of hair were poking out, which is why it was banned. Number 2 is Pantera's Far Beyond Driven, released in 1994. It showed a drill that was sticking out of a human's anus. Or rather, it almost looks like the face. It was then replaced with the image of a skeleton in the same drill. It seemed it was coming out of his forehead instead. Number 1 is The Origin of the Feces by the band Type O Negative, released in 1992. The cover photo was said to be cheeky, for lack of better words. It featured a derriere that was being held open by two hands, and the image was in gray. It was said that it belonged to Peter Steele himself, the lead vocalist. Thank you for joining us on this very controversial episode of Top 10. If you enjoyed, click subscribe and don't hesitate to join us again for another edition of Top 10 List.